So today we will be discussing about standard deviation. In that we have already understood what is risk. Risk can be basically classified into systematic risk and unsystematic risk. Okay, systematic risk means those risks which will affect all the business in the country equally. Okay, so systematic risk means those risks which will affect all the persons, all the business equally, like inflation, changes in the government policy. So this is known as systematic risk. And unsystematic risk means particular business, like power failure, software corruption, strikes, etc. So these are related to particular business. And systematic risk means affect all the business. Systematic risk can be measured using beta. Okay, and total risk will be measured using standard deviation, which is there in the syllabus. So how to calculate the standard deviation? That is a total risk. And difference between total risk and systematic risk, you will get unsystematic risk. Clear? So this is the concept of risk and how to calculate the risks. So total risk will be calculated using standard deviation. Clear? Now let us understand what is standard deviation and how to calculate it. See, total risk is systematic risk plus unsystematic risk, and total risk is measured using standard deviation. Systematic risk is measured using beta. Okay, so difference between total risk and systematic risk, we will get the unsystematic risk. And unsystematic risk can be reduced to zero also, because it is understood everybody this much. Now, standard deviation means risk. So let us understand first what is a standard deviation. Standard deviation is a measure of dispersion. Standard deviation is what? It is measure of dispersion. From what? From mean value. See, mean means average. So standard deviation will tell you how much there is dispersion in data from the mean value. So let us understand this with an example of two cricketers. So let us take an example of two cricketers for understanding the concept of standard deviation. Let us take an example of two cricketers. One is the Rahul Dravid, and one more cricketer we can take. Let us take Sachin Tendulkar. Now, this is just an illustrative example. So let us assume that both have played 5 matches. Okay, and respective scores are given here. Let us assume in first match Rahul Dravid scored 50, then in second 75, then 100, then 50, and again 75. Now Sachin Tendulkar in first match scored 150. Okay, second match 0. Then again he scored 100. Then in one match he scored 20. Then again he scored 75. So this is the just illustrative score chart we have drafted normal based on the normal trends of both the player. Now selection committee is there. Now selection committee wants to select one of the player for a upcoming match. Now how they can do the selection? Now two players score chart are there. Out of this, one player has to be selected. Okay. Now how you can do the selection? First you can calculate the average of their scores. So how we can calculate the average? Average means mean scores. Mean is simple, no? Do the total and divided by number of match. So 350 divided by 5. So mean score of Rahul Dravid is 70. And here 345 divided by 5. 69. Okay. Just we'll make some small change. Now score chart is there 50, 75, 100, 50 and 75 scores in respective matches. 150, 0, 120 and 105 matches respectively. Now, if you will use mean for selection, you will prefer this player. Okay, because his average score is more. But if you will see the data here, this player is more consistent in his performance. Here you will not find consistency in performance. Okay. So now what you will do, you can calculate a standard deviation of scores of both the players. So how we'll calculate the standard deviation, and based on that we can calculate the who is more consistent player. Okay. So let us calculate the standard deviation for first player. So calculating standard deviation, you will have to scores that we will give x. Then another column will be x minus x bar. Okay. X bar means mean value. So this is x bar. So x bar means average, mean. Okay. Then next column will be x minus x bar whole square. Okay, so this columns will be there. Everybody can note down matches x scores, that is the scores, then x minus x bar column and x minus x bar whole square. So matches is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Scores are given. Okay, x bar we have already calculated. For player 1 it is 70. So x minus x bar, how we will have to do? 50 minus 70. 50 minus 70. Okay. Then 75 minus 70. Then 100 minus 70. 50 minus 70. And 75 minus 70. So this is just x minus x bar. X is the values and x bar is constant. Okay, 70. If you will do the total of x minus x bar now, it should always be 0. Okay, not required, just for understanding purpose. Total of x minus x bar will always be 0. You can write and keep sum of x minus x bar will be 0. Now what you have to do? You have to do the square of this column. Okay, square, how you can do? Just take the calculator. First value is 20. So 20 into equal to, you will get 400. Okay, even if it is minus, it will become positive plus, because squaring means 2 times minus means it will become plus. So similarly, next will be 5 into equal to, which will be 25, 900, 425. Okay, now you have to do the total of this column. X minus x bar, total you have to do. Okay, so this much we have done. Now we can calculate the standard deviation. Formula for a standard deviation is square root of x minus x bar whole square, sum of divided by n. So sum of x minus x bar whole square divided by n, it is 1750 divided by n is 5. 5 matches are there, no? So n will be 5. Now you can do the calculation. 1750 divided by 5 square root. So standard deviation will be how much? 18.70. 18.70. Everybody calculate this. So correct, 18.70. N matches, x will be scores, then x minus x bar whole square. Do the total of this column, then apply this formula, then you will get the standard deviation. Means how much the values are dispersed from the mean value. So this much understood, everybody? Similarly, we can calculate for the second player also. So everybody got 18.70 standard deviation. So now we can calculate for the second player also. Okay, so scores are 150, 0, 100, 20 and 100. and mean is 74. That is 150 minus 74, 0 minus 74, 100 minus 74, 20 minus 74, 100 minus 74. So this we have calculated. So do the square. So square is 15,520. So standard deviation will be summation x minus x bar whole square divided by n. So 15,520 divided by 5. So 15,520 divided by 5 square root. How much it is? 55.71. Okay. So for player 1, standard deviation for 18.70, and for player 2 it is 55.71. Everybody is calculating this much? Understood? Now, if you will go by the mean average scores scored by a particular player, you will prefer this player. Okay, but that is not correct, because here consistency is not indicated by the mean. So to understand whether a player is consistent or not, you will have to calculate standard deviation. So here this player's standard deviation is less and this player's standard deviation is more. Means this player Rahul Dravid is more consistent compared to this player Sachin Tendulkar. So he will be preferred by the selector. So less the standard deviation means less the risk. So less standard deviation means less risk. Means there is a chance that he will score in the match. Okay. So because his performance is consistent, so his standard deviation is less. This player's scores are good, but consistency is not there. That's why standard deviation is high. More standard deviation means more risk. Okay. So similarly, this concept is used in financial management also. Okay. So if you are comparing between two securities in which you have to invest, you have to select those security whose standard deviation is less. Means it indicates that performance is consistent. That is very important. Okay, because it should give return every year. It is not like that 1 year it is giving very high return and in another year it is not giving return. Such type of securities will not be preferred. And how we can come to know about the consistency? By calculating the standard deviation. So understood? So always remember, less standard deviation means less risk. You should prefer such securities. Clear about the concept of standard deviation? Only by calculating the averages, you cannot come to know who is a good performer. Okay, for that you will have to calculate the standard deviation also. Okay, similarly, by calculating the average returns, we will not come to know which securities is good. For that, you will have to calculate the standard deviation also to check the consistency, means risk. Understood? Yes or no? Understood the concept of standard deviation, everybody?